Okay, so let's talk about Charles Bukowski's Post Office. This book is way more than just a novel. It's practically a survival guide for anyone who's ever had a job that felt like it was trying to suck the soul right out of them. So, what can this cult classic really teach us about work, rebellion, and just enduring?
It began as a mistake. I mean, what a perfect first line. That right there sets the whole tone. This isn't some grand story about climbing the corporate ladder. Nope. This is about one accidental, seemingly small wrong turn that sends our anti-hero, Henry Chinaski, spiraling right into the guts of a bureaucratic monster. So, how does this mistake even happen? Well, our guy, Henry Chinaski, he kind of stumbles into a temp job for Christmas at the post office. He's thinking, hey, a soft job, easy money. He has absolutely no clue what he's really getting himself into.
And he gets completely taken in by this idea of a cushy government gig. After a little fling he has on his route, the thought in his head is basically, God, all these mailmen do is drop in their letters and get laid. This is the job for me. It's just a perfect setup for the brutal reality check that's coming.
So, yeah, he goes all in, takes the exam, passes, and makes the mistake official. He thinks he's just locked down a life of ease, but the world he finds on the other side, it's a universe away from the chill, romantic life he pictured. The trap has just snapped shut. And the true nature of that trap really comes into focus when Chinaski gets transferred to Oakford Station. Because that's where he meets his nemesis, a supervisor named Johnstone, who is basically the human embodiment of everything that is wrong with the system. The other carriers, they call him the Stone. And this guy isn't just a boss, he's the personification of petty tyranny. A middle manager who seems to get a real kick out of making his employees' lives an absolute living hell. And like Chinaski points out, that red shirt he's always wearing, that's not a fashion choice. It's a warning sign for danger and blood.
This moment just perfectly captures the huge gap between how the system sees itself and what it's actually like for the people inside it. Chinaski writes up this incredibly detailed 30-page report on the Stone's cruelty. And what happens? An official at the federal building just screams at him that Johnstone is a fine man. The system always, always protects its own.
So after Chinaski complains, the Stone retaliates, and he does it in the cruelest way imaginable. He just stops giving him work. For a whole week, he makes Chinaski show up at 5 a.m. every single day just to send him home with no pay. It's a tactic designed to break him, to literally starve him into quitting. But here's the thing, the misery isn't just locked up inside the station. Oh no. The minute Chinaski gets out on his mail route, the entire outside world becomes its own kind of minefield, just filled with these surreal, dangerous, and completely absurd situations. I mean, every single day is just an onslaught. You've got hostile people, terrifying dogs, brutal weather, and this absolutely impossible schedule that feels like it was designed for a robot, not a person. It's like he's under siege, constantly. And the animal encounters, they're pure nightmare fuel. Like this scene, where he's just frozen in terror and barely gets away with everything still attached. This isn't just delivering letters anymore. This is flat-out survival.
And beyond all the physical threats, he becomes this walking, talking symbol of everyone else's money problems. People don't see a human being bringing them mail. They see a physical manifestation of all their debts, and man, do they take their frustrations out on him. Maybe the most chilling lesson in the whole book isn't about the angry dogs or the shouting customers. It's what he learns from this guy named Gigi, a veteran carrier who is basically the tragic endpoint for anyone who gives their entire life to this service.
This timeline really shows Gigi's entire 40-year journey. He isn't taken down by some big, dramatic disaster. No, he's just slowly worn down, day after day, by the grinding, uncaring pressure of the system. And in the end, after a lifetime of this, one last bundle of junk mail is all it takes to completely break him. So, looking at this bleak reality, Chinaski gets it. Openly fighting the system is pointless. The only way he can survive, the only way to hold on to any piece of himself, is through these small, almost invisible acts of personal rebellion. Take this cap incident. A totally new, totally arbitrary rule says you can't put your hat on your carrier case. So what does Chinaski do? He puts his hat there. The Stone writes him up. Chinaski just throws the write-up in the trash. It keeps escalating until Chinaski looks him in the eye and says, I can throw these away as fast as you can type them. And the Stone gives up. See, it was never about the cap. It was about refusing to be broken by a stupid, meaningless rule. It was about being human. So the small rebellions help him survive day to day. But his ultimate rebellion? That's escape. After 3.5 years of this, he decides he's done. He walks straight into the federal building to do the one thing the system just can't handle. He quits. And the response he gets from the clerk handling his resignation? It's not good for you, or I get it. It's just this dry-lipped sound of pity. It's the sound you make when you see a fool giving up a secure government job, a cog stupid enough to try and leave the machine. But this is Bukowski, remember? So this is where he hits us with the novel's most powerful and honestly most cynical lesson. Getting free, he's basically telling us, is a whole lot harder than it looks. That machine has a very, very long reach. Yeah, life on the outside isn't some beautiful dream. It turns out to be just as hard, just as chaotic, and just as unforgiving. And sure enough, after a series of bad bets and bad luck, life shoves him right back to where he started. And here it is, the final brutal punchline. His big escape, his ultimate rebellion, it was just a temporary break. He ends up right back in the post office, this time as a clerk. And he's trapped for almost 12 more years, a sentence way, way longer than his first one. In the end, post office doesn't give you any easy answers or happy endings. It just leaves you with this really fundamental question. What does it actually mean to survive a job that's actively trying to steal your soul? And it makes you wonder about your own work, your own little rebellions, and what the real cost of just enduring really is.